Welcome back to another video. Today we're going over five things that you can do to improve your Muay Thai at home. You're not going to need any equipment. All you're going to need is a small space, 2x2, just so you can move around, do some shadow work. And I'm going to go over through some fundamental concepts that you can check and correct yourself to help improve your game. Number one, first thing we're going to do is footwork. So main thing to practice for your footwork, some common mistakes that I find people will be making in their stance is that they'll lock out the knees and they'll be pressured heavy on the heels. So I'll give you a quick drill that we can use to correct those mistakes and also just to be aware of it a bit more, and I'll give you a few variations you can do. Just to make sure you're in the correct stance, we want to be about shoulder width apart with the feet. Let's say I'm going to do this in orthodox, my rear foot's going to face 45, and then I'm going to step forward with my lead foot about the same distance, about shoulder width. We're looking at being on opposite corners of a square. So if we're looking down, we imagine a square there. My weight's in the middle of the square. My feet are on opposite corners. Lead foot facing straight, rear foot 45 degrees to the lead foot. The weight should be in the front of the feet, but be careful not to be too high on the balls of the feet, okay? So heels just off the ground, knees always with a slight bend. I think something that I see very commonly is the rear leg straightening after a technique. Always want to keep that bend and keep the rear heel off the ground. So from here, in your fight stance, your hands are up. Try to be relaxed with your hands and soft, but keep them around this area. Now, when you move around, if I move forward, I'm going to lead with the front foot. If I move backward, I'll lead with the back foot. If I move to my left, I'll lead with my left foot. And same for the right, leading with the right foot. But pivot around, keeping the stance. You'll notice this whole time, I'm aware of the bend in my knees and the heels. Try to do this. Look, generally, I'm not always up on like this. Sometimes I'll put the lead foot down. But to practice it and to get out of bad habits, try to start off your heels. So moving around like this, you can move with a little bit of pace, just any direction, some pivoting, forward, back, just keeping the heels off the ground. Probably work on like a 3 or a 5 minute round. This will get quite tiring on the calves, but this is good to build up that stamina and getting used to being quick on the feet, off the heels. All right. When you get comfortable, you want to make it a little more challenging. You can start adding blocks, making sure when you block that you return it to the same position it came from. Block, back down there. Block, lead, straight back down. Still moving around. Block, block, around. Oop. No heels on the ground still. Keeping the bend in the legs. Making sure after the block, we don't come back to a straight leg here. Bend, heel off the ground. Block. And then, if you're comfortable with that, throwing knees. Knee, then back, no heels. Switch, knee, no heels. Block, switch, block, switch, move around. Whoop. Block, knee. All right, so bend in the knees, heels off the ground. That's exercise 1. Second thing is hand positioning. So I think I find with a lot of students, a lot of inconsistencies here on where the hand should be. Excuse the finger, I can't make a full fist with this. But I'll sum it up for you, probably where you want to be generally. So you want to think of the rear hand. Well, basically, let's start with the height, sorry. Let's start with the height. Height of the hands in our fist position. When I'm shadowboxing, it's sort of like a loose fist. The top of the knuckles sort of want to be hovering around eye level, okay? So we don't want to be too high here. This is very defensive. This is very sort of baiting or defensive. We get into that later. Neutral, just general. About eye level for the top of the knuckles. The rear hand is sort of on the phone, so close to the face. You don't want it too far out in front here. We've got quite a lot of exposure here. Want to protect this side of the face. The lead hand We don't want it to be in here, as this does come across as quite a defensive sort of stance, and it sort of like invites people to want to attack. Whereas a little bit further out, it's a bit more threatening. Okay, so we sort of want to be a little bit out. So from a side view, yes, there is the face is exposed more here, but there's a balance. I'm a little bit more of a threat here than I am here. Okay, so here, and the threat can be minimized by understanding appropriate range and keeping your distance. Okay, so we're here in this position. I like palms facing into each other. So forward like this doesn't allow me to produce a lot of power on my attacks. Here like this, it's more threatening. I can get a nice torque on the punches. So palms facing each other, fist positions, hovering around eye level. And the next thing is elbows want to be pointing towards the floor, sort of in front of the rib cage. You don't want to be too out like this with the elbows, sort of inviting the kicks to come to the body. Elbows point down. So our forearms are almost parallel. Sometimes there will be a slight opening. For example, when I go to block, I will open this to make room for the block. All right, but generally I'm tucked in tight here. That way to protect the body. Well, it's mostly covered up now, but if I need to protect the body, it's not a big movement. It's just boop, tuck in here, but I've got nice protection here. Last thing, the hands don't want to be frozen. You don't want to be stiff here and have no movement. You need to feel relaxed and have some rhythm, but be careful that the rhythm isn't exposing the face. So you don't want rhythm like this, where the face constantly gets exposed. You're constantly inviting something. It should be moving around in a small area. So I'll generally be like this. The arms will sort of flow to the movement of my body. Maybe if I'm freezing, I can still sort of move the arms and the heads independently, but they generally don't leave this area. If you consider wearing gloves, there's even higher protection. So eye level is good, we still protect most of the forehead height with the gloves on. So you can start integrating this now with exercise 1. Just staying off the balls of your feet, bit of rhythm, shifting through, moving, keeping the hands at that level. Now, when you're getting used to this, your shoulders are going to start to burn up until you build the stamina. If you want to advance that, you can even do with some light dumbbells, maybe some like kilo dumbbells, 2 kilo dumbbells, just hovering here, 5-minute round here, up, just sitting here, getting comfortable. You can even start throwing strikes and coming back, just getting comfortable with the weight. Once you do this enough, you won't really do anything else. This is all your body will get used to. You'll build up the muscular endurance for it. And that's exercise 2. Exercise 3, we're going to talk about what the hands do during your elbow strikes. So I think that's something that's elbows not taught too often, as opposed to like punching and kicking, probably like a lot less attention for elbows. And in particular, what do the hands do? What do the hands do during the elbow? What does the other hand do during the elbow? So we'll go over a few of the main elements there. During the elbow strike, so of course when we're working punches, we want to have a tight fist, we want to be nice and strong. This is our weapon. During the elbows, our weapon is away from the fist, so you want to relax your hand. When we can relax the hand, the benefit in relaxing the hand is that I feel you're going to conserve your energy, right? So you're not directing energy to somewhere that's not required. So this is not the weapon, relax the hand. Number 1, hands relaxed during the elbow strike, okay? Second thing, I don't want to keep the wrist straight and lengthen the arm section here. As when I go to throw my elbow, for example, a side elbow, this is going to, imagine this with a glove on, this is going to really get caught up, and I will find it hard to now rotate any further. I'd have to be forced to rotate my body further and compromise my position. But if I relax the hand, fold it down, straight away I got a lot more rotation there without my body. So folding the hand down, in particular for this horizontal elbow or a downward elbow, will allow me to not have to rely on the body rotation so much. I can do it just with the arm, okay? Folding the hand down. Another major thing, you want to, with your hand, I think the way I'll teach it is that I want to externally rotate the wrist. and fold it in. So when I'm doing like this, by externally rotating the arm, for example, if I keep it into me here, you can see that the forearm muscles here have now contracted, and it takes up space here. If you have larger muscles here, it's not allowing the bones to come through. But if we externally rotate the hand, you can see now that it disengages the muscles. And now the bone will come through a lot more on the elbow strike. So externally rotating the hand, almost, I'm not going to tell you that the palm should face somewhere because it depends on what elbow, it's different. It's more just about externally rotating that. And this only applies for horizontal or downward elbows. So fold hand, externally rotated wrist, and then we can work through the elbow strike. Boop, boop, boop. All right, so that's our horizontal elbow, downward elbow, and off the rear side. For the lead elbow, the hand position just protects the face. So again, same with this. I don't want to drive energy here and keep a strong fist. Oh, it's not the biggest problem, but I generally relax it and I drive my energy here. When I do my lead elbow, I will keep this protecting this side of the face. Boop. Or rear. Sorry, up elbow, sorry, not lead elbow. Boop. So I keep it tight on the face. Sometimes for a bit more range, you may see people pull the hand away from the face, so like this. To be honest, moving this hand doesn't extend this elbow, you know, check that. The range on this elbow hasn't actually moved. Maybe this will produce a bigger weapon because I could potentially hit with the forearm, so that might be the benefit, but you need to weigh up, do you want that benefit versus being exposed? That's your choice to call. So it's not right, not wrong, but just understand the differences. Generally on the up elbow, the range is the feet. You know, you need to move into your elbow. I like to keep the protection here and driving, trying to aim with the lower part of the elbow. Yeah, or the rear one. And finally, last thing to talk about with elbows is your opposite hand. We all know the opposite hand should be up during any strike. So if I'm throwing knee, kick, punch, elbow, the opposite hand is generally up. With the elbows, I like to make a slight change. Not just up protecting, but because I'm in a closer, more vulnerable range, I want to even increase the protection on the face because I'm also in elbow range now too. So instead of staying here, because you can see my head is still quite exposed, I will move the opposite hand even further up. So imagine I've got a glove on. This is going to protect the whole front of my face. So, boop, boop, boop. Up elbow, got a real clean coverage here rather than be here and be exposed. So just a bit tighter protection with the opposite hand during your elbow strikes. That's something to work on. You can probably practice this in the mirror because without looking at what you're doing, it's quite hard to sort of see how it's going, whether it's a mirror or whether you record yourself and review it later. That might be a good way to practice it. Exercise 3. Exercise 4, switch technique. So this is for a lead leg strike, whether it be a knee or a kick. You can do like a switch push kick. Yeah, you can. It's not common, but you can, no problem. Okay, so switch technique. The most common mistake I think you'll see for the switch technique is that similarly with the rear kick, to do the rear kick properly, we're talking like for producing good power with good balance. Generally, you're going to see a weight shift, a weight transfer. So when I do the rear kick, I'm going to shift my weight onto the leg first to execute the kick. You need to consider this with your switch. Most people don't, and that's probably where the mistake comes from. So if I switch so right now I'm like 50-50 between the legs. If I switch my stance and I keep the same weight distribution, let's take a step back. First thing, when I do the switch, I'm not switching stance completely and doing this. All right, this is very common. When people start out, they will switch the whole body and then throw the kick. You only want to switch your legs. Keep your body in its stance. So from here, just the legs only makes a big difference straight away, okay? I've got this sort of like rubber band-like energy, I don't know what the right word is, this energy which is like sort of wanting to spring me forward, okay? So legs only. The rear foot angle remains the same as well. So 45 degrees, when I switch, it should say 45 degrees. Now notice, right now I haven't shifted my weight. I'm in the middle. This is where the big thing happens, the big mistake happens. If I throw the kick right now, because I'm behind my post leg, I'm gonna fall back straight away. So I lose power, I lose balance. So similarly with the rear kick, how we need to transfer the weight, we need to transfer the weight during the switch. So not only am I switching my feet, I'm also, you'll notice I've moved over here now because my weight is now on my post leg. Now this leg can kick through and I've got good balance. It's as if I started the kick in southpaw, stepped over, this is my starting position for the kick. I need to get here during the switch. I'm here, boom, fire through with the kick. Okay, so to do that, you'll need to keep the core quite engaged. You can't be relaxed, too relaxed. And you wanna be conscious of where you're gonna shift your body weight onto this leg. When you do that, you also don't want to be flat on the heel and locked out with the leg. Keep that bend, same principle as exercise 1. Slightly heel off the ground, bend in the leg, weights here. Next thing from here, I rotate the core, the leg will follow. I'll show you a couple of full speed ones. So that's starting 50-50 with the weight. Another thing to consider is the landing of the feet. All right, you want the feet to land at the same time. You don't want this to happen too much where it's a bit of a staggered landing, so you don't want to transfer the weight 1, 2 into the kick. It needs to happen at the same time. When I switch, my weight lands there. Same time, both feet land same time, bang, can fire off the floor straight away. This doesn't, the post leg doesn't need to travel too far. You don't want to switch too big that it's going to be very difficult to keep your body weight on top of that leg, because then you're going to have to move a lot more. So if I do a very big switch, it's going to look like this. This is quite hard. The post leg just needs to move quite a little bit. This leg will go back again quite a little bit. Don't make it too far. You don't want to, with a more open stance, your height changes. With the switch, you don't really want your height to change. So make sure that the length of your stance on the switch is about the same length as a regular stance. So from here, whoop, it's no longer than a regular stance, okay? The switch technique can be thrown regardless of how your initial starting weight distribution is. So if you're like in a back heavy stance, same thing. As long as my body weight follows the switch, follows the post leg. So I think it's actually easier to throw the switch from a back heavy, but you'll notice the difference is this leg won't move very much. So from here, oh, doesn't move much at all. If I'm front heavy, I can still do it. This one takes a lot of energy, keeping the core tight so the legs can switch quite fast underneath the body before I fall, So from here, bam, no problem. So if I'm in like heavy punching, bam, 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 oh, no problem. Or the middle one, which is what I explained already, so 50-50. So same time landing with the feet, body weight shifting to the post leg. That's it. Exercise 5, weight distribution on the kicks or knees, all right? So similarly with exercise 4, how we were talking about having to shift your weight during the switch technique, with anything switch or just regular sort of kick or step through, the most important thing before your kick or knee technique, when you're about to bring one leg up to strike, is that your body weight needs to be on your post leg majority. Like I'm talking 80% plus, your body weight needs to be on top of it. If it's behind it, you're gonna fall back. If it's in front, you're gonna fall forward. All right, so something to practice is to break down, let's say a rear kick, is to break down the rear kick into three elements. So first element is the weight shift, Okay, so I'm gonna step my body weight onto the leg. I'm gonna step out. Now notice my shoulders are in front of the knee. This is how much weight shift you need. Almost to the point where the weight shift alone is about to pull that foot off the floor, like it's got no more range. Most people don't. They'll probably step like this, a little bit behind it. Again, this is only if you want to produce maximum power in the kick. I can kick like this, no problem, but I'm gonna have a sensation of falling back. If you want to produce maximum power, you got to be right over that leg so you can transfer the weight through. And during the kick, I'm going to do my counter lean, so that's going to help with the recovery. So from here, three steps for the kick. Shift the weight, bent knee, heel off the floor, shoulders in front of the knee. Check this. From here, the thing that pulls the kick is the hip. Okay? Think of the hip as your hand around the rope. If you were to swing a rope, the force is from here, the leg is your rope, and it follows where the hand takes it. You really want to swing this hip for maximum power through the target. The leg will find its way and follow through. Relax your leg muscles. From here, step 2 is the hip swing. It picks up the leg off the floor, the leg trails behind it. Step 3, the leg comes. Relax. So again, step 1, 2, 3. Swinging the arm with the kick. Step 1, oh, I didn't go far enough. Step 1, 2 and 3, sort of, 2, 3. Okay, so you'll notice if you review this video, you'll see my hip moves and continues moving in front of the leg. Common mistake will be to stop the hip and let the leg go by itself. All right, so make sure that the hip leads the motion. Step. Same thing with the switch, what we talked about before. Weight shift, shoulders in front of the knee, hip, 2, 3. Switch. If I do a step up, no switch, it's the same thing. When I do my step up, I make sure I'm in the weight shift already, ready for the strike. Whether that be a kick or a knee. Same thing, rear knee, shift the weight, up, knee, then back. Shift the weight, knee, then back. That's it. All right, and so that sums up our video. You've got 5 exercises to work on improving your Muay Thai at home, at anywhere, no equipment needed. Go through them. If you find that you need to practice a little bit more on one of those exercises, spend some time with it, get comfortable. If you're not comfortable doing these techniques during shadow, it's much harder to do it on something where you're hitting full power on target, or even worse, in sparring, in fighting, even harder. Here in Melbourne, we're here in lockdown, so this is actually a great time for you to spend some quality time on the fundamentals and getting comfortable with your shadow, as you may not have partners or you may not have any apparatus to train. So this is a perfect opportunity to really brush up on those skills. Thanks for joining me. I hope you're all safe. Take care, and I'll see you at the next video. Cop and cup.